dictate your actions to build on your own property. Next. Violating freedom of movement, imposing on driving and not restricting preferred means of transportation. For those not able to afford an electric vehicle, this is discrimination and creates two Chattanoogas, those that can afford and those that cannot. If you owned a home in a low emission zone, your freedom of movement is dictated by the car you own. So, basically what I'm summarizing here is this is right out of the cap, and it's making no recommendation that would violate freedom of movement, make no recommendation that imposes any regulation on driving or transit choices, and not restrict residents in any way regardless of their preferred transportation. Next. There are two strategies in the cap that can lead to violating your freedom of movement. The first strategy is to establish a circular connector as directed in the cap. The second, now the circular connector, remember that was in the Katie Hopkins video where she drew on her notepad a circle? That's what we're going to talk about again. The second is to implement the use of new restricting zones such as no or low emission or no car zones. You are only able to travel for free in these zones if you have the right vehicle. This violates your freedom of movement and discriminates against those unable or unwilling to purchase an electric vehicle. Next, please. Circular connectors are the important step toward a 15-minute city. Creating a circular connector is CAP strategy 2.13.5. Zones are created and restrictions implemented and adjusted to increase control. This is a common practice of other smart cities. This is very similar, it's not exact, it's the same idea of what Katie was drawing, a circle and dividing it into 6 sections. Divide this, and then create circulars, well, good, let me start over. This is a common practice of other smart cities. Divide the city into 6 zones, then create a circular connector around the city that everyone must use to travel from zone to zone if using their car. That's the yellow ring around the city, and then here I've got home is in zone 1 and work is in zone 4. Now, I used to be able to just drive directly from zone 1 to zone 4, and that would take, say, 15 minutes. Now, with the new restriction, would be driving out to the circular connector, around to zone 4, and then into work. So a 15-minute visit trip now takes 45 minutes. Okay, next. Now, this is a map of London's new ultra-low emission zone boundaries. The small red circle is the congestion charge zone. This was the beginning, in the red. And the mid-sized green circle is the current ultra-low emission zone. That's this one. And the large purple circle is the new expanded ultra-low emission zones. We have low emission zones, no emission zones, as well, baked into our CAP plan. The purple circle, the expanded ultra-low emission zone took effect August last month. The area is around 18 times larger than the original and encompasses around 5 million more Londoners. Cameras are used to track vehicles and determine if your vehicle meets emission standards. It will cost £12.50 to drive in the zone. Almost 700,000 cars in London are no longer ultra-low emission zone compliant. That figure rises to more than 850,000 if you include other non-compliant vehicles as well as cars. If your home is located in this area, it would be devalued because of the additional low emission, ultra-low emission zone requirements. There will not be as many buyers. Not everyone can afford a new car. Not everyone will allow this level of control over their lives. The Smart City Corridor began as a 1.2-mile section of MLK and will be expanded to include the entirety of downtown. So this is the MLK Corridor, the original. We're not paying for all the changes in our city. Outside forces are committing funds to make these changes. Chattanooga Resolution number 3.1363 accepted a nearly $5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation to install an end-to-end decision support system for integrated smart electric grid and transportation system management. That spells smart city. In 2021, UTC was awarded a $1.37 million grant from the National Science Foundation to create Smart Corridor Plus along a section of the existing MLK Smart Corridor. Eventually, this system will cover 130 intersections by utilizing LiDAR, sensors, 3D perception software, and artificial intelligence. Just my guess, this projected area will become the first car-free or no or low emission zone. This is a map of Chattanooga. The blue dots are the initial 1.2-mile MLK Smart Corridor, right there, which is expanding to include all of downtown. Mirroring London, the boundary will expand from the original area in the red circle to the green circle, and expand again to the purple circle. Where is the control of this growth? On page 26, strategy 2.13.23 established low or no emission zones. Remember how London's ultra-low emission zone has over 5 million residents in theirs? Chattanooga is an easy target with only 180,000 residents. And on page 25, strategy 2.13.15, car-free zones. More loss of freedom of movement by restricting your preferred means of transportation. People on low incomes cannot afford to replace an older car. And per Climate Action Plan strategy 2.13.7, incentivize non-motorized vehicle trips. So the green circle was just an attempt to try to enlarge on the immediate area, but this is like over in Brainerd. This whole area could easily be grow to that size if we follow the same pattern that London is following. Next. So in review, the CAP preamble does not contradict the actual CAP strategies. Wait, it does contradict the actual CAP strategies. The preamble does not alleviate citizen concerns. Waste stream audits are a way to track your trash and invade your privacy. In-home monitoring is done through smart meters on your electricity. Inventories will be taken on water, vegetation, forest, and birds. They will then be able to monitor and report everything in and outside of your house. No privacy. Your freedom of movement can be restricted by laws, making an area off limits if you do not have the correct vehicle. The low emission or no car zones do restrict your freedom of movement. The preamble was added to address citizen comments, but actually summarizes our concerns. The problem is the actual CAP strategies were not changed to reflect the preamble.
Thank you, Rick. You know, it's pretty dry. Yeah, you can give him a round of applause. That's a really good job. You know, he likes to read all that dry stuff, you know, page 36, section 3, you want to, but you know, that's how you have to read these things. They're contracts, practically. It's like, and you have to really get into the minutiae. One line can have incredible impact, and I mean that, truly. So, okay, well, we'd like to open it up again with, what are your concerns, friends? You know, questions? I saw some gentleman raise his hand here. Yeah, go ahead, Glenn.
So on that property deal, we haven't had a allodial title since early 1800s. So so therefore we really don't own the land and have no say in that.
Right.
We own the building and we improve their land. But how do you combat that when you don't actually have them?
Allodial rights, you're really getting off on a, allodial rights means you basically own the land. That you, and we don't really own the land. If you think you own your land, try not paying your property taxes for a few years and see how that works out. They can take it away.
You don't own.
With allodial rights, you can actually own the property. And I believe in Tennessee that's still, it's still possible. Tough to get probably, but yeah. It's really perception, isn't it? I think more than anything else. If we just believe in freedom, right? I mean, we have to object to this overreach. It's obviously an overreach, isn't it? I mean, if nothing else, to go from, okay, I bought the property, I'm going to be a good steward, I'm not going to pollute, I'm not going to trash anything. I don't want that. But to have you come on and suddenly designate all sorts of areas of my property as some sort of special zone that I'm now responsible for, and I can be sued and prohibited from using, that's an overreach. Come on, And the preamble says that there is none of this, and that preamble was put in to address the concerns of the citizens at the city council meeting. And they didn't really change any of the verbiage. They just put something in there and says, it's not true, we're not going to do that. Well, golly, I might have fallen off the turf truck, but it wasn't yesterday,
Has anything changed from the draft to the final?
I think, so there were some very minor changes. Rick, he's really gone through this with a fine-tooth comb. Did they change something about food, or there was some, Rick said there was a few minor,
They
very,
have a preamble
they just basically added the preamble.
to
They
the
changed.
final, right?
Yeah, people were
A
concerned.
week later.
A week
Yeah.
after it was finalized?
But no, it was presented on the 21st.
Yeah.
Then they added the preamble, and then it was voted in on the 22nd.
The city council had a meeting, and citizens could come and, say yay or nay, whether they approved or didn't. And a lot of the people who didn't approve of this made some very valid arguments, in which Rick has laid out many of them. Well, I think that it put the city council on their back foot, and they had to come out with a disclaimer. And so they reissued the cap plan 1 week later with this preamble saying, not to worry, everything's great. We're not doing anything of what the citizens were concerned with. Well, they didn't change any of the words, any of the verbiage. So, yes, sir.
Mike, this ties into something. Everybody's heard the stories that the World Economic Forum says by 2030 you won't own anything and you'll be happy. Well, you go on the internet and you'll see that CNN and Reuters and USA Today and every media outlet you can think of said, oh, that's a right-wing conspiracy. No, they didn't say that. Well, next week I'm going to show you, there's a video online I just looked at this week that the WEF made, and their opening statement is, by 2030, you will own nothing, but you'll be happy about it. Now, what I'm saying here is not about the not owning anything. It's this pattern. Once you start doing research, you find out they just bald-faced lie to you to get you to calm down and not look closer.
Right.
And just like they have done about this cap plan. It is the most amazing PR scheme I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, up north we call it chutzpah. I don't know if you know what that means, but that's like, you got a big set, Yes, sir.
Last week, we got an announcement from the east side utility district that they were going to install a smart water meter in our home. So I called up today and I said, she said, what can I do for you? I said, don't put a meter in my home. And she said, the bottom line, after I went through a lot of stuff with her, was, you have no option. And I said, do you know what a smart water meter is associated with? And then I went through some of this with her. And she said she didn't have any idea about smart cities. And I said, well, it's all tied in with EPB and the whole 9 yards. Oh, no, we don't even work with EPB. I told her, you need to get a life. You need to go look what the what the World Economic Forum is all about and what the smart city is all about. And why don't you come to this meeting tonight?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Very good. Yes, sir.
Has the city accepted any money yet from the World Economic?
Yeah, there was just an article in the Smart Cities site today where 7 cities in the United States, Chattanooga being one of them, the other one being Rochester, New York, which is where I'm from, have been selected to receive, I believe it's $60 million each to, I believe I read that, and don't quote me on that, but I believe, and this is for, the implementation of a smart cities program. This is for all the things that we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, to deal with them, but
Yeah.
if we haven't received any money yet, then we can't move forward. The city can't move forward with the progress.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Rick.
What I've found in the research of going through things is everything's a one-off. So at one time there was an agreement between Chattanooga and the WEF, and we've got that out on the website. Kevin Comstock, he was the director of sustainability then in the office, and that since is that ended, I believe, in 2022. So we don't have a current. That was for us to be a pioneer city. But there's another organization called ICLEI, and we used to be a member of that. And they're tied in. I don't remember exactly what the words are, but it's about environment. And we paid money to that organization for a while. And what ICLEI does is they come into a city and they set up the office sustainability. They implement their software for tracking. On the website right now, the city website for the CAP, it says that they're going to track this information and then report it to ICLEI, something like ICLEI. But ICLEI, right now, they're saying they don't have any agreement with ICLEI. But when you start to look into it, the EPB I believe, is the one that's supplying information. So it's not the city of Chattanooga, it's EPB that does things, or University of Tennessee in Chattanooga that's receiving money, or the Department of Transportation is doing things to us. So the city is not necessarily taking money from WEF, it's all these one-off ways. Candida Fund funded the green space study, and then you see Lyndhurst, I think, the foundation, they're in that group. So you start to see how the money is being spread in these other places, and then we get some report from it, and then they use that report for the CAP.
Rick, that's the public-private partnership.
That's it.
That's a huge part of this
Yeah.
Agenda 21. The corporations get to cover in the power of government.
That's right.
And the government gets to hide behind and say, we don't do anything.
That's right.
That was the right company over here.
Right. And this is a very interesting spin. What they've done is they've taken an old concept, which is very unpopular, fascism. And if you go look up fascism, a textbook definition is a partnership between government and big business. So they've taken, what they now do is to say, well, it's public, right? It's basically the same thing. It's fascism. It's a totalitarian effort. They're getting private industry to do things that
They take it away with
Yeah.
legally.
right.
The private industry can
That's
do it,
right.
the government can't do it. It still gets done, and, oh, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
By the way, the LEI changed their name to Local Governments for Sustainability. So now they can say, I don't have anything to do with ICLEI.
Right.
No, but you do have something to do with these other guys.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
And this has been long planned. I think people really have to get their head around this. This has been in place. I think the first mention that we have gotten to Chattanooga being involved in some of these things is 1973. So they've had a 50-year head start at implementing a lot of these things, and they become sort of very good at evading.
Plus we forget.
What's that?
Plus we forget.
Oh boy, quick.
Yeah.
Quick, we forget. Oh my, a lot of truth to that. Yes, sir.
I'm a refugee from California and a homeowner in East Ridge. And in California, I can assure you that at the core of this, they are saying CO2 is bad and it will kill us. are going to tax you on your gasoline, your vehicle, how many miles you drive, where you drive. They don't, believe me, these people do not have a good view when they look at your hydroelectric and your nuclear.
Yeah.
They're going to want to eliminate natural gas, at least to integrate it into the electric system, which is inefficient and still causes CO2. But we can go down each category. This is an infliction of energy poverty.
That's
That's
right.
their intention.
That's right. You know, there was a group in the 30s called the Technocracy Group. They came and they flashed in the pan and they went away, but there's a gentleman named Patrick Wood, and he runs an excellent site on technocracy, and it is all about energy and the control of the people, you, me, everything, through the use of the control of energy of all facets. Yes, sir.
Any plans that you've seen for the Circle Road deal? And nothing's been out there yet?
So you have to follow the city council agenda, and I have not been focused on that lately, but like they did sign an agreement with Planning Next, and that was an agreement that they've been working on this year. It was like about 1.3 million, I believe, and it was dividing the city into 6 pieces. There was another one, Camiros, recently, maybe 2 years ago. They were brought in to update all the zoning codes. And you'll notice now when you go to the agendas, the city council meetings, they're doing a lot of high-density zoning. And then so something that was maybe single family or a big area, now it's multifamily. And you'll see all these high-density housing going up. So there's a lot of things to cover. What the city is doing through their zoning and the building permits.
There are lot lines too.
Yeah, the 0 lot lines. That's right out of the agenda. Yeah, that's right. That's one of the things. So there's a lot of things to cover. You know, they'll hire somebody, and then nothing's going to happen right away. You have to follow it up. And so I'm really curious now what Planning Next has come up with.
Well, this is not only just for the city too, because it expands out to countywide too, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it's like Smart County, really?
Hamilton County is a member of ICLEI. At least they were.
They may have been. I don't know about now, but this cap is only for Chattanooga. It does involve Hamilton County, the school, because they want to have electric buses, but it doesn't pertain to like East Ridge or Red Bank. You know, those cities are different.
Yeah, the cap doesn't, but RPA is working on something.
They're hand in hand. You're right. You're right. You're right. Exactly.
It's the proposals, request for proposal that they're working on now.
you want to go to the plan now and talk about it? Okay. Rick's going to give us a little update here again.
Well,
Back to
the path. Yeah. So, you know, becoming aware of what's going on is an issue, but the other is what can we do to stop something like this? So, page 24. You got it. Okay. Next week. So, there's been a lot of talk of collecting signatures and presenting them to the city council. This could be done 2 ways. One is to create an unofficial petition without any teeth. Expend a lot of effort and time. I call these feel-good signatures. The city council can simply say, okay, and do nothing. Collect 10,000 signatures, show them to the city council, and they say, oh, that's great, but we're not going to do anything. The second way is to follow the existing petition process to place a referendum before the city council for a vote. If the referendum does not pass, it will then go to the ballot for the people to decide, which we've never had a chance. None of this has gone to the ballot for us to say, yes, we want this or that. Next. This is the calculation of how many signatures we will need to qualify for the referendum to be presented to the city council. We start with the total number of votes for mayor in the last election. It's 28,415 votes. The required number of signatures is 25% of the votes, or 7,104 signatures. So there's the required percentage, 25%. That's the number of signatures that we need to place them on ballot, 7,000. And then to ensure we have enough qualified signatures, I'm adding an additional 25%. That gives us a buffer of 1,776 signatures. So the total is 8,880 signatures. Now, these have to be registered Chattanooga voters. So it can't be somebody from East Ridge, Red Bank, or Hamilton County, Collegedale, only registered Chattanooga voters. So, as I said before, by signing the pledge, and I have it, let's see here, sorry. So the idea is that what we'll have is we're going to collect pledges where people we don't have a petition ready yet. So that would be next spring. But in the meantime, what we do is we find people that are motivated to want to sign the petition, and we gather all that and we create a database. And if we can get this 8,880 people, this list put together now, we have part of September, we have October, November, December, January, February. We've got some time. We need to ramp it up. And then we go out and we collect all the petition pledge signatures and we create this database. This is an example. This is taken right off of our website, populated, and then you can fill that out right online. It's the Take Action tab at the top. Okay. So these are the high-level steps to place a referendum on the November 2024 ballot. By collecting pledges of support to sign the petitions, we'll be building our list of supporters that we can count on to sign the petition. The Hamilton County Election Commission has 30 days to review our petition and provide feedback. We then have 15 days to correct the defects, and they have another 15 to approve. So here is where we're collecting all the pledges between now and February, and then preparing the petitions. And I'm thinking that, we've talked about it, there are multiple petitions that can be put together. It doesn't have to be just one, it could be multiple petitions. If we're going to go through this, why not go for 3 petitions? And then it would go before the Election Commission, and it's basically about, if it's taking the full, it could be 2 months before they review and everything's okay. And then in May, we would start verifying a referendum petition signatures. So we would have, let me go back to this. We can have petition signing events. We've already got everybody's contact info. We can let everybody know where we're going to be having signing events, and they can come to the meetings, sign the petitions, and then instead of starting on day 1 at 0, we're front loading this so that we end up with, if we have already identified 6,000 people, then we would expect to have 6,000 signatures on our petitions very quickly. Now, we only have 75 days to collect almost 9,000 signatures and verify they're registered Chattanooga voters. That's the other part of this. We want to verify these. We can get a file from the Election Commission of all of the registered Chattanooga voters, and then we can be working. It's going to take volunteers, but we're checking between the petitions that are signed, the petition signed, and then the list from the county or the Hamilton County Election Commission. And then when we're turning in the signatures, we know that they're valid and they're not going to be rejected. After meeting our signature goal, we would then submit the petitions to the Election Commission. The Election Commission will verify we have met the requirements and present the referendum to the City Council for a vote. What I've always liked about this is the law, and all we're doing is following the law, and if we do this, then it goes to the City Council, they vote on it. If the city council votes yes to approve the referendum, it will become an ordinance, and no ballot initiative is needed. That's the part right down here where if the city council, city council votes referendum yes, then it passes. No, then it's going to go to the ballot. And if it goes then from July, this is an estimate, but from July to November, then we would be campaigning for this referendum. And then early voting starts October 16th. So to do this, though, we're going to need a lot of volunteers. And that's going to be, next slide, please. We have a slide online as well on the Take Action tab, and you can sign up to be a volunteer. Next page, please. So what we really need is a lot of help building our group right now. We've got a small core team, but we need more people. Signature gathering and verification, petition pledge, a volunteer signing coordinator. That is a very important position, and probably we need to have somebody like that on the board or as an advisor, a graphic artist, social media. So to ensure we are following all the rules and avoiding any problems, we need the help of, Now, that is something I wanted to talk about. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the petition attorney. And what I found out talking to the Nashville is that we are not actually working on something that is going to be on a ballot right now. So we have no restrictions, no campaign finance problems. That was the big fear 2 weeks ago, that we would collect something and then have repercussions where it would be a campaign finance violation. So we're beyond all that right now. That would start up later in the year, or next year. Okay. Next, please. There we go. So what can you do? Sign in the petition pledge. That is